Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast. Today's episode is a special one. I'm joined by John Kinnane, writer, and Brendan Kinnane, executive producer, two members of the Kinnane Brothers, an eight-sibling filmmaking family who are redefining what an independent film operation can look like. Their new feature, Solo Mio, is in theaters right now. Released by Angel Studios on 3,000 screens, the film opened in second place at the box office, an enormous achievement for a true micro-budget production. It's the kind of story exhibitors and indie filmmakers dream about, a scrappy, family-fun production going toe-to-toe with studio titles and winning over audiences. If the Kinnane name sounds familiar, it might be from their viral Sound Guy shorts with Kevin James during the pandemic, videos that exploded online and put them on the industry's radar. From there, brothers Chuck and Dan directed Home Team for Adam Sandler, starring Kevin James, which debuted at number 1 on Netflix. Now, with Solo Mio, all 8 brothers are officially credited on a single feature for the first time, each one leading a different discipline, from writing and directing to editing, VFX, and music. They operate as a fully self-contained creative unit out of a charming old farmhouse in Little Compton. The main floor acts as production headquarters. The basement has been transformed into an Irish pub. It's part think tank, part film studio, part family legend in the making. Directed by Charles and Daniel Kinnane and co-written with Kevin James, Solo Mio follows a man who heads to Rome on his honeymoon after being left at the altar. It's romantic, funny, and set against a stunning Italian backdrop. But behind it is a uniquely American filmmaking story about family, hustle, and building something from the ground up. Today we're talking about how 8 brothers divide creative roles without dividing each other, how you scale from viral shorts to a 3,000 screen theatrical release, and what it really takes to turn a micro-budget film into a box office hit. I hope you enjoy the show. Oh, and sorry if I sound super stuffy. I think I'm coming down with a cold. Maybe it's just allergies, hoping it's just allergies, but I have 2 kids home sick right now, so it's probably not allergies. All right, hope you enjoy the show. Thanks. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time to do this today. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Thank you.
Well, I had a chance to watch the movie last night, and I was absolutely floored by what this film looks like and what it feels like. I interview a lot of genre filmmakers who do micro-budget filmmaking, and oftentimes you'll think about a movie that's punching above its weight class. This movie is beyond punching above its weight class. It is knocking people down above its weight class. It's insane. How were you able to pull something off like this? A micro budget in a foreign country, and it just I can't believe the scale that you got here. It just looks fantastic.
I would just
Jared,
say,
right?
yeah, I mean, Jared, our DP, we had worked with him before on a project in the past, and we just love how he shoots things. And we're used to, coming from a background with having no resources at all,
Yeah.
working with what we have, and growing up making films as kids and really just like finding anything and everything we can. We'd use like a leaf blower to get wind or a hose to get rain. And
Yeah.
so I think it was, we came from that background, with all the brothers working together, and then, working with Kevin on, we did a lot of his YouTube shorts, and we wrote, direct, and produced those with Kevin. And that was during COVID, so we were even more limited to the resources that we had as far as like locations, and so we kind of had to work with what we had there. And for that, everyone played a role as far as like, I mean, Bren did a lot of just sound, holding the boom, and I would hold it, and Pete would hold it. Everyone kind of swapped hats throughout the project as far as, every single role. And I would say also the producers as well helped out a lot with, getting the locations down, and, I'm not too familiar with the logistics of the production size. I wrote the film with my brother, and Bren is an executive producer on the project, and he also writes. So I don't know, what do you want to say?
Well, I think, how do we like capture, I guess, Jared Fidel, the DP, he's just, he's so amazing. He's able to see things like other people that, don't normally see. And then obviously having Italy as a backdrop helps a lot,
Of
So
course,
it's
yeah.
like, you're not like, it's hard to make something around here look beautiful, but Italy can just kind of, it's almost not saying it was easy for him, but it definitely helpful. And he's spectacular. So
Well, there's almost this part where you're writing it and sitting down, so that's not your problem. You can just say, well,
yeah. Here, make it look good. I don't care.
yeah,
What it
that's on
takes.
you. I did my part. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's shots in here that are just beautiful, though. I know it's not your end, but there's actually things that I was curious about in the writing of it. Like I think of the shot where Kevin is on the stairs by himself. That's something that looks like it would be in a $30 million movie. It just looks incredible. But then there's things that happen where I was wondering if it was written that way, where there's this great gag involving a cigarette that happens off screen. Was it written that way, or was that something that was done in the actual?
That was intentional. Yeah.
Okay.
So was it the Spanish Steps? We
Yeah.
didn't. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but we didn't. Those are all real people.
Is that stolen?
That was stolen. Yeah.
Last shot of an overnight.
So we
shoot.
had film all.
It was like 6 a.m.
Yeah.
No one was there.
And that was that. So yeah, we got there, and then as soon as we were like, do you mind stepping out of the shot for 2 seconds, please? Let's get this. And it worked out great. Like that, we had that pigeon flew right into the lens, and we were like all applauding afterwards. We were like, we got it, like we did it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like we cut, and then there was just so many. Everyone was there.
Hundreds of people there that morning. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so it was pretty, and then it's like people see Kevin James there, and then they start taking photos and
Sure.
they're looking, and and then it's like then a crowd really swarms. So you kind of had to be strategic, be quick, and like I was saying, it was the last shot of a overnight shoot at like 6 a.m. So we had to get in, get out. Yeah.
And the cigarette gag too was we wrote that in the script with Kevin. He loved the I don't know. No one really gets it because I saw someone say something like, "Oh, like she's lit the cigarette, but she didn't actually light it." But like that was just intentional. Like she just couldn't get it going. You just hear,
and she has it in backwards and everything like that. And you can see the reflection of light on Kevin's face because it moves over, and it plays almost better when it's off screen in that way. And I just really loved it. But okay, so with writing though, there was one of the things I was struck about is how honest it deals with marriage. I've been married for 16 years, and I feel like very few films take what romantic love actually is. They can deal with infatuation, and most romantic comedies, they don't deal with actual what love is. And I think you actually touch on this in a way that is really honest, in a way that very few films. To me, I think one of the most honest films about romantic love is Gone Girl, because it's this idea that in that film where there's these two people that left to their own devices, they're horrible people. One's a serial killer, the other's sitting on his couch playing video games all day.
Yeah.
But they inspire each other to be better versions of themselves. In this, you have people that they work through it. They know they're not perfect and they're not in a perfect relationship, but they just make that work. And I think that that's what you're talking about in this film. Through your ancillary characters, are you guys married, and how did you write about this so honestly?
I'm not married. But I've been in with my girlfriend for just over 3 years. So
okay.
I keep saying if I was not in a long-term relationship with her, I probably wouldn't have been able to have much input on the film. But it also helped out, our Pat, who also wrote on the film. He's been with his girlfriend. He recently just got engaged. So. And also then there's Kevin, who's been married for 20 years.
Combined, it was like 30 years experience.
Yeah. So we had, and I thought that to me, I feel like it was, even though we weren't married, but we could also relate to Matt's character a little bit with, like the how to handle relationships and, how to handle conflict and stuff like that. And also speaking into, I think Kevin being, he's 60 now and having way more life experience than myself and Pat had so much more. I had a lot of input into Matt's character as well, but you also have different ages. Like I'm 25, Kevin's 60. So there's, I always say, like, I feel like there's something in the film for everyone that can kind of relate, having different life experiences from, having three different writers work on the film. I thought that was helpful.
Yeah, because I think even like a guy that's 25 years old and has maybe never had a girlfriend, or like a girl has never had, like, or anybody who's ever been in any relationship at that, even at that age,
Right.
you're so young, but you still kind of feel that like a little bit. Like, am I, people definitely ask that question all the time. Like, for myself, like I was like 20 and never had a girlfriend, and I was like, man, am I ever gonna get, it's like,
No, I said the same thing.
Yeah.
I met my girlfriend. I
but it's
was
just,
like, I said the same thing to myself. I was
yeah.
22, I think, or 23. Never had a girlfriend.
Well, I
But
didn't get married till I was 33, and I remember prior to that thinking, "Oh, well, this is just something that's not going to happen for me because I'm
Right.
30, so clearly I'm never going to get married because that hasn't happened yet," which is an absurd thought, but it's
Right.
honest. It was where I was at that point.
And I think there's like there's some sort of like societal pressure, where it's like, oh, dude, you're 30, you're not married yet, and you're
Yeah.
like, in which obviously you don't have to feel like, I mean, we were talking, like, one of a good family friend, he just got engaged at 70, right?
Oh,
Is he 70?
wow.
I mean, second marriage, but still, it's like,
Sure.
it's and he'd been single for a long time, but it was one of those things where it's like he would like still had the hope of like finding someone, so it's like it
That's
is.
fantastic.
It almost seems like it doesn't matter what age you are, there's always time,
Of course. And well, and it's everything is elevated. It's a film, but the thing that matters the most, most of us haven't been left at the altar at a destination wedding kind of thing, but we can speak to the idea of being dumped. Most people go through that
Yeah.
experience of being hurt and heartbroken. And so you have to play to the emotionally honest side of it. And I think that you capture that really well. This feels like, while a movie, it's still emotionally honest, if not the exact experience that anybody would necessarily go through. It feels very lived in and real in that way, if that makes sense.
yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So what was the key to that for you personally, do you think, for keeping this grounded in reality?
I think we set out to make when we're working with Kevin, when we're writing, we're always trying to write in jokes and make it funny. And Kevin was really good at that. He's like, guys, like, the comedy's gonna come. Like, we just need to focus on the story and make it as real as possible as we can, and make it grounded, because then, that will make the comedy even that much funnier. So that, I think, Kevin helped out a lot in keeping the film grounded. And then Chuck and Dan being there as the directors to be on set and keeping, helping Kevin with Matt's character in his journey, and reminding him, like, hey, like, you are this, we kept saying, like, he's just this sweet guy. Like, that's
Yeah.
who you are, Kevin. Like, Kevin's not really the funny person in this movie, and he didn't want to be. That was the intention behind it, was everyone else around him is gonna be funny, and he's just kind of this, not that he's pushed over, but he's just a very gentle, sweet person that, is just looking for love and someone that you can root for. And I think, Kevin really wanted to have Matt's character be grounded, and all the other characters as grounded as possible, without it being, super slapstick and goofy. I think it was a collective effort from everyone coming together.
I think, yeah, that was something important for Kevin. Like, from day one, he was like, he's got to be this sweet, like the sweetest guy ever, just like very, yeah. I mean, and then with the sweetness, you kind of just fall into being grounded in a way, So it's like, with Kevin's character, just really, that was something really important to him. Like, just, it's the sweet character. It's the sweetest. He never goes over the top. Like, no, he obviously didn't want to do all those gags. Like, people were like, oh, like, I expect him to fart right now. It's like, that's not like what Kevin wanted to do. So when you do that, it gets pretty grounded, so.
I mean, this does go into not quite farce, but you have some pretty broad comedy in the film, and if you have Kim Coates and you're using him that way, I think that just makes perfect sense. Why would you need to go and push it further if you're working against him? And so,
Yeah.
and you're kind of playing against that with Kevin, which just works really well. He has a lot more range than I think people give him credit for, that he can pull that back and do subtle work in ways that just people don't see. And I'm thinking this will open him up to in a way that maybe people haven't seen before. So I really appreciate it.
Reading, obviously we're just like reading every single comment since the movie's come out.
Of course.
Are like, Tig can be in a romantic comedy. They're like, what? Like Sons of Anarchy, And I didn't think people, like what you're like, I don't think people realized he could do that. And then it's like, but no, he's the perfect guy for that character.
Well, he's been one of those, he's legitimately one of my favorite interviews that I've ever had. His energy is so incredible. And there's something that he's just this goofy kid from Canada that wants to play hockey. Yeah. He's known as Sons of Anarchy, but like he has this whole other side. And he's a dad, and he's just this much more grounded person that can be as wacky as they come, and it's just a silly dude from my limited experience with him.
It was Kevin wanted Kim like from the beginning, because we were like, awesome. All right, Kevin, leave me alone. We need to, we need some other people to be involved. And the honeymoon package came along, and there were other couples on the honeymoon tour with him, and Kevin's like, all right, Kim. We got to get Kim. So we wrote that character for Kim Coates, and he was like the easiest character to write for. Just like, he's like, you see that smoke fest over there? That's my wife. That was his voice from the beginning. We kind of knew what it was, and all the other characters came shortly after. But it was so much fun because we had shot like a short skit with Kim Coates on Kevin's YouTube channel back in 2020. And it was like right before COVID hit, we shot that, and that was our first time meeting him, and we were like, all right, like we got to work with this guy again. It's gonna be so much fun. And eventually came around and came true. So awesome.
Every day he'd show up to set, and he'd obviously read his sides, and then when he'd get there, he'd be, oh my God, guys, it's so funny. Like, oh my God, like, just like, I mean, come on, you guys, so that's why like Pat and John, when they wrote it, it's like they knew exactly what this character was. And then, I'm sure it makes it so easy for Kim to play that character. So,
sorry, you go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say there's some roles that just fit like a glove. We were like, oh, that is, because I was wondering if this was written with him in mind, because he just fully inhabits that character so well.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He was day one.
And Jonathan too, we wrote for... we wrote Neil's character for Jonathan, and then Allison Hannigan, Julie Serta, and
Julian Emery.
Julie and
there's a lot of Julies.
They just made the characters like 10 times better, and we were so grateful. Like everyone in the cast was just amazing. But I think I was gonna say the whole like hand thing that I don't know if you picked up on that. What Julian does, he's like, you need Matt, a dirty rebound. He does this thing.
Yeah.
That whole like hand thing was like kind of came up on the spot. I can't remember if Pat told him to do this or Kevin.
I think that was just him.
That may have been just him, but we were like, that's so funny. We need to bring that back. And so when he's in the cafe, he's like, it's no longer this. It's this.
It's this.
That was all Julian. And then he's like, at the end, he's like, together. And then he does this. Like they're connected.
Yeah, it's the evolution of the relationship through
hand signals. In the hands. I love that, because I remember one day we were about to get on the bus to film, and I'm, because he was asking about what the hand things are, like what is it, and like it's just this, like you interlock the hands, you do this, like this is what it is. And I remember we're about all getting on the bus, and I just see him pacing like back and forth, and he's just doing this by himself, like getting in his own head, like trying to perfect the hands. Oh, that was just so much. It was so funny.
The things that actors do to get into that space, it's just never not impressive to me. It's such a incredible skill that from the outside looks so goofy, but then you try it and it's impossible. I don't know how anybody does it. It is some of the most, I'm a terrible actor the few times that I've tried. And that's why Kim is who he is, because I would be so self-conscious trying to work out how to move my hands in a scene. I can't even figure out where to put them, let alone the exact way to move them. So
the Talladega Nights, I don't know what to do with my hands.
Exactly. 100%. So then what do you think is the reason this is resonating with audiences right now? Because #2 at the box office opening up, that's a really big deal. There's clearly an appetite for a film like this.
I think it's just
simplicity, maybe.
Yeah, it's such an easy film to watch and to recommend, and it's just an escape. Like we just wanted to make this feel good, fun movie that you could just go to the theater with a bunch of people and your friends and your partner and go and just have a fun time and get transported into Italy and laugh, cry, and just feel all these type of emotions. And I think that was kind of what we set out to do, is just to make like a feel good, fun movie that people could go out. And it's not, it's different than a little bit different than most romantic comedies that are super, super broad.
Right.
And less grounded, or you have more just the romance films, and we kind of wanted something a little bit in between that is just fun to watch, and you feel something.
Like, I don't think it, like, you also, like, you don't have to invest too much of your, like, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna sit down for this movie and I'm gonna make sure, if I don't like it in like 5 minutes, like, this is like, you just show up, watch it. Like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But like, people have just really taken to it, and I think that's kind of like, nowadays movies are also just like animations, superhero movies, or remakes. So it's different to see an original movie, original idea. Like, granted, Solo Mio is a rom-com, so it obviously follows some of the rom-com tropes, but it's like, it's just, it's not asking too much of you to go and watch it. And then when you watch it, you just feel good and you laugh and maybe cry. And I think that's why everyone, like, I think that's why people just kind of take to it and they like it. So,
and I think it's also what you mentioned earlier, like everyone kind of at some point in their life questioned if they're ever going to get married. Like,
Yeah.
because I did, Bren did, and I would imagine anyone did, because like it does seem almost like this crazy idea, like, wow, like, I'm gonna get married and spend the rest of my life with someone, so I think people resonate in that, and everyone is seeking love and to be loved, and I think that is kind of the universal language in the film that people can resonate with, and also second chances, like, if it doesn't have to be in a relationship, it could be in a job, and time will come, and if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be, and you kind of have to, I don't know, to me that is kind of, I think, why people resonate with it so much.
Well, I can say this much about it. My 10-year-old walked into the room while I was watching it, and it was shortly after Kevin had been left at the altar. And he was on his way. He was just coming to say goodnight after he'd gotten ready for bed. And he stood in front of the TV for 10, 15 minutes, something like that, watching it. And then he just, kind of came back about a half hour after he'd gone to bed, and he just wanted to make sure that he was okay. He was just checking in to see if Kevin was doing all right at that point. And so
that's amazing.
It's one of those things where I think that not that long ago, not everybody had media that was targeted and micro-targeted to every element of your personality. And we just watched things that weren't made for us. And so this is not made for a 10-year-old, but a 10-year-old can watch this and get something out of it and actually enjoy the film. I could also show this to my mom. I could show this to a 70-year-old woman, and she would 100% get something different out of this. And so that's, you've really, I think, done something special here, because it's something that is very specific, but has broad appeal. So congratulations, guys. You got a real good one here, man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was nice to meet both of you, and congratulations. I'm looking forward to the next one, and I understand you have something coming down the pike already that you're working on.
Brendan and Pat wrote the next one, so you will hear about it shortly if you.
Hopefully, I don't know when they plan on releasing the everything, but hopefully it's soon.
Well, whenever they do.
It's done. The film's done. They shot it and everything.
It's already done?
Yeah, we'll be back.
Okay. Well,
we wrapped filming a couple weeks ago.
It's in post.
They're actually editing it in the next room.
Is that the people that walk past right now? They're editing the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, those are our buddies that came for a celebratory beer.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That's our office is just like, we're a big family, so many different, relatives and friends, like the door is wide open. That's kind of how we grew up. Like
Yeah.
with our mom, like she's just like everyone is welcome. So like we'll be here in the middle of an interview with you, and then there's people walking in. So
That's
I
amazing.
apologize for that.
No. Please, knowing what I know, which is not a ton, but enough about your family, that if it would have been anything else, I would have been a little bit disappointed if there was. So, well, thank you, gentlemen, very much. It was great to meet you, and hopefully we can talk on the next one. So great to meet both of you.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, take care, guys. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye.